How's everybody doing? Oh, this is fun. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. I stirred up some fun with my two P320 videos. The drama, hogwash, BS one, and then a special one that I made for somebody who just doesn't want to believe hard reality, hard facts, and doesn't want to believe what Sig Sauer has actually published on their website. Whatever, I don't care. You know, you make baby steps for somebody and lead them right to it, and they just want to deny that and try and solidify and validify themselves by throwing insults. I don't really give a shit. Insulting me is not going to drop me down and build you up and prove your point. I can read, I can comprehend, I can understand. So, long story short, in the Sig Sauer Safety Warnings Manual, they tell you to carry their pistols with an empty chamber because that's the most effective safety. That is written in there. You can look that up on sigsauer.com. You have to go chasing through 2 or 3 links to get to it. It's not obvious. It's hidden. It's like, down in the fine print, the invisible link. But it's there. And that is in 2 of my previous videos. My last 320 video, I did baby steps, step by step. Go here, click this, click this, click this, right through the video, right to it. You download the PDF, go to page 6, boom, here it is. Where it tells you that. And some people just don't like that. And it's reality from Sig, and I don't like that because I love my Sig, I love my P320, so you're the asshole, you're wrong. Believe whatever you want. I don't care. So, if you're one of them folks, that's fine. You can carry a 320. And if you should happen to get a self-firing function and you get shot in the nuts or shot in the ass or shot in the leg or something like that, don't sue Sig, okay? They would appreciate that, I am sure. And please take photos of it. If you got your nuts shot off, something like that, get photos. And please show all of us what happened to you, your injuries, and tell us your story. And tell us there's absolutely nothing wrong with that firearm. Tell us you did it and it wasn't the firearm that just happened to go boom in your holster. We would love to hear that story, that you're standing by that gun that just shot you by itself. Maybe it will never happen to you. I hope it don't. But if it does, I think we would all be entertained by the story. So now I'm probably going to start really irritating people because I'm going to compare book versus book, official document versus official document. And as we know, some people just can't handle facts. Some people don't like reality. They want their reality. They don't care about real reality. It's what I believe, what I want to believe, and I see reality as I want it, not how it really is. And nothing, be damned, is going to deter me from that. Well, I don't care. So, let's compare what Sig says for their pistols to what Glock says. Oh my God, I said Glock. Oh no. Oh, we're going to have the Glock haters come out now. Yeah, Glocks are ugly. Glocks are bad. They're terrible. They all look the same. It's irrelevant. Who cares what they look like? Let's just compare notes. That's all we're doing here. We don't care about cosmetics. We don't care what they look like. We don't care about calibers. We don't care about none of that stuff. Let's just compare the books. If I was some other firearm manufacturers right now looking at what Sig has published, I'd be going... In the original video, the P320 self-firing drama BS and hogwash one that started all this, at 2 minutes 51 seconds in, I showed this image. Now, this image, look in the red box. Look at the wording. The most effective safety is to carry your pistol without a round in the chamber and to load a round in the chamber only when ready to fire. Look at the entire image there. Look at everything around the image. Text above, text below. Look at the wording of what I just read to you. Now, look at this image. They've changed it. How about that? They're not saying now specifically carry your pistol without a round in the chamber. They've changed the wording around. Why did they do that? Because they caught too much crap? And notice how things have changed around on the page. It's kind of funny that all of a sudden when all this came out online about the manual saying this, we have a captured image, and then we have the image as I've captured just recently here too, and they've changed it. Interesting, isn't it? Process again about how to find this document. It is on sigsauer.com. Go in the search bar, type in safety warnings, and then you can chase down through there and find this. Or you can watch my previous video and find it through there and follow the steps and go find it that way if you'd like to. Here is what SIG says. Particularly that top sentence in all capital letters, in larger font, in bold. Regardless of whether a pistol is equipped with a manual safety, the most effective safety is to carry the firearm without a round in the chamber and to load a round in the chamber only when ready to fire. On page 5, if you take a look, it says cartridges should only be loaded into a chamber when a firearm is used. And that's before it says to carry an empty chamber. So twice right there, back to back, it's telling you empty chamber. Yes, that is a true statement. An empty gun is not going to go bang, right? However, these P320s, the M17 version of them that the military has, 450 some odd thousand, all the civilian models, the 320s that are out there, if you're carrying an empty gun, as I explained in the first video, and you need that thing within a second or 2 seconds, and you have an empty chamber, you're screwed, okay? So I'm not going to burn up video time getting into all those details. You can watch that video or just have a little bit of common sense and logic. If you need to draw out and fire and you've got 1 second to do that and you're on an empty tube, you're already way behind schedule to begin with, and now you've just set yourself back even further. You're probably going to wind up becoming unalive. So this is their recommendation. Why is this the recommendation? Maybe because things are going bang when they're not supposed to. So I had a guy just completely insult me, try to tear me down, tell me I'm a moron, I'm Cheeto fingers, I have stupid logic, because I took him through baby steps, made a special video for him, directing him to this very statement, because he told me this statement did not exist. And there it is. So therefore he tries to just insult me further to validate himself, I guess. But there it is. Another commenter said, you know, a lot of firearms manuals have similar verbiage because it's a liability thing. Okay, all right, fine, whatever. So I'm going to pick on Glock because I run Glocks. Glocks is what I like. And I went through all 64 pages of this manual. I also want to show you something else. And this can be found right on Glock, and I'm going to show you that. Aren't some people just friggin' hilarious? Show me where it says to carry on an empty chamber. I already did, it's in the video. There is the image of the PDF file from Sig Sauer. What more do I need to show you than official documentation from Sig Sauer? Apparently that wasn't good enough, so I don't know what else I'm supposed to show. So, yep, I copied and pasted from Sig Sauer into the comment for this genius, for this guy, and made the special video with the baby steps trying to direct this person to that PDF file and how to get to that. Didn't like that, so we had to ramp up the insults to stupid logic and Cheeto fingers because, oh no, he told me originally that it didn't say on Sig's manual to carry on an empty chamber. And, I've shown several times right directly from Sig Sauer, yes, it does. And he didn't like that, I guess. So, we get to ramp up the insults to try and win. This is an official Glock form. As you can see, customer safety awareness form to be filled out at time of sale. So if you go to a gun shop and you buy a Glock, Glock wants the gun shop to have the customer read through this and initial off that they read each one of these criteria and understand it. Okay, that's pretty reasonable, isn't it? So read down through there. There's 14 criteria. I'll bounce down just a little more here. 14, that is the bottom of the list. And then the buyer's signature. Nowhere on there does it say anything about the best safeties carrying empty tube. Nowhere does it say anything about carrying on an empty chamber. The most we got is number 4. Before handing the pistol off to another person, make sure to remove the mag, lock the slide back, visually and physically check to make sure no ammunition remains in the chamber. Yeah, that's the thing to do. Don't store a loaded pistol in a box. These are some common sense things here. Keep it away from untrained people and kids. Yeah, but nowhere does it say to carry your pistol empty. This is the Glock manual instructions for use for the Glock 17 all the way through the Glock 48. 64 pages. I have read through all 64 pages. I fail to see where it says to carry empty chamber. I will show you the closest things that come to empty chamber. Right out of the gate, second warning right there. It says, like most modern handguns, your Glock pistol is designed without a conventional manual safety. Thank God. So therefore, you must consider it to be loaded and ready to fire until you have removed a magazine and visually and physically, with your finger, confirm that the chamber is empty. Well, I don't care if it has a manual safety or not. You always assume it is loaded and ready to fire. So even after you've confirmed it's empty, you continue to handle it as if it's loaded. So on and so forth. That goes for any firearm, regardless of what it is. But nowhere there does it say to carry an empty chamber. You can see we're getting on to page 3. Always handle your Glock pistol as if it is loaded so that you never fire negligently. Well, that doesn't say carry an empty chamber. It means don't be stupid. These two right here talks about storing your pistol unloaded. Okay, fair enough. For the average person. So there you go. But that is not carrying your pistol unloaded. I want to draw special attention to this second warning down, the one right in the middle, where it says, although Glock pistols have several internal design features and mechanical safeties designed to prevent an unintentional discharge if the pistol is dropped or hit, the proper and safe function of your Glock pistol depends on it being used for its intended purpose and not being altered or modified. Key words there, not being altered and modified. So if you or somebody else has gone in there and screwed around with that gun, started clipping springs, filing shit down, started modifying crap, and you drop that gun or that gun goes bang, that is not on Glock, because that gun has been altered or modified by you. Therefore, that is going to be your fault, correct? This warning talks about the LCI, the loaded chamber indicator, but this is another common sense thing. You don't just assume your chamber is empty, right? And you don't rely on that to tell you if it's loaded or empty. You always confirm it. Again, don't be stupid, be smart. There are several cautions and warnings through here, which for the most part is just general gun safety, general common sense. Talks about range discipline, things like that. So this warning here you see about carrying your Glock pistol unloaded with the slide locked open in the rearward position. Keywords here, while on a range until preparing to fire. Okay? That does not mean the same thing as what SIG means. SIG does not say to carry it unloaded or empty chambered on the range until preparing to fire. They just say to carry it with an empty chamber. So that means across the board. Now we also need to keep in mind that these instructions for use are written for somebody who's never shot a pistol before. So, you take law enforcement officers, let's say, who go to the range, they're probably not going to be standing at the firing line with unloaded guns. They're going to be locked, cocked, holstered, ready to go. Fair enough. Now, if it was a SIG, the recommendation is carry an empty chamber, right? This one on the bottom talks about empty chamber before you start disassembling. Yep, but that is not carrying on an empty chamber. I want to point this out specifically. Who carries guns, full stack magazine, loaded chamber most of the time in pretty rough environments? Law enforcement, right? Yep. So this paragraph right here, what does it say? Firearms carried by law enforcement, security, military, subject to heavy usage, should be inspected periodically. There actually is a schedule for it by a Glock certified armor. Okay, yeah. It's a tool. You want to make sure everything's good. You don't got internal cracking, nothing like that. All your springs are good, blah, 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 so on and so forth. 100% fair. Okay? So, nowhere there does it say these need to be carried on an empty chamber for safety, right? I don't see it there. Yeah, I just took you through the manual. I wasn't going to video all the way down and through every single page because it's going to go blurry on you. It's going to take forever. You can download that manual. It's easy to get. If there's something else somewhere else that says carry on an empty chamber that I haven't found, bring it up. Don't just throw me a comment and say, well, it says, or somebody said. Back it up. Show me from Glock and direct me to where it says that, because I want to see it. I want to be able to reference it. Don't just tell me stuff. Just like what I'm showing you and telling you now, I'm not just telling you. I'm showing you and I'm giving you references which you can look up yourself. So it's not just me saying something. I can verify what I'm saying and you can verify what I'm saying. Fair enough, right? So comparing the Glock use for instructions for use manual versus SIG's safety warnings manual here, what's the one big difference there? Carry an empty chamber in this book, and this book says nothing about carrying an empty chamber. Big, big, big difference there, especially in a service weapon world, right? Or especially in a concealed carry world. So what can SIG do? if you're a law enforcement officer or you're concealed carry and you have one in the pipe and that goes bang on you, and then you try to sue Sig for medical, for damages to you, whatever, any lawsuits, what is Sig going to do? They're going to bring up that safety warning manual that you probably have no idea exists and say, well, right here in our manual, it says that we recommend you carry with an empty tube. That's going to be their scapegoat to try and get out of lawsuits, right? Because it says right here. This is kind of, what I've been trying to get to in the first video. If you're comfortable with that, go ahead, carry an empty tube, and hopefully it works out for you. And if you're comfortable carrying a loaded tube from a manufacturer who recommends carrying an empty tube, you might want to reassess that. But in the US, it's a free country. Do whatever you want. So what's another thing that's missing in the Glock book that is in the Sig book? This image comes from the P320 manual itself. The previous images come from the safety warnings manual. They're two different manuals, okay? So the safety warnings manual, the one that says to carry empty chamber, that covers all Sig pistols, okay? Let's be clear about that. If you read like the preamble of it, getting into it, it talks about Sig pistols. It doesn't specifically say the 320. And then there it goes. All right. Again, you can look this all up and read this yourself. So now on the P320 manual, specifically for the 320, it says, do not load a cartridge into the chamber until you are ready to use the firearm. Okay. It says that. And that is in the 320 manual. I'm going to stress that because I was just insulted, called an idiot, blah, 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 because carrying an empty chamber was not in the P320 manual. And I just told you that. It does not say carry empty chamber. However, anybody with a half a brain cell rolling around in there can determine that the meaning of do not load a cartridge into the chamber until you are ready to use the firearm means an empty chamber until you are ready to fire. Right? Okay. So right below that statement, we have abusive handling. This is not in the Glock book. Okay? So Sig says, do not subject your Sig Sauer firearm to any type of abusive handling. I'll say that again. Read it in this image when I bring it up. Do not subject your Sig Sauer firearm. It does not say specifically P320. This is in the P320 manual, but this is the verbiage. Do not subject your Sig Sauer firearm to any type of abusive handling, period. Then it continues. This includes the firearm being dropped, impact to the firearm, or the firearm being struck by another object. Again, that is not specifically stating 320. That is saying the firearm. Okay? And you can read that yourself. So that is what Sig is saying about their firearms. You do not find that in Glock's manual. I am really not in the habit of entertaining stupid, okay? If A person cannot read and comprehend Exhibit A, we'll say, and read and comprehend Exhibit B, we'll say, and understand that, which is very simple and has been explained in plain English. Why do we need to have an argument about this? Because somebody doesn't want to believe it. Because they don't want that official documentation to be true. Because they want that reality to be something else. I'm not buying into it. And nothing anybody else tells me is going to change my mind about that. That right there is official documentation from each manufacturer. So that to me is the truth and reality. I don't think this fellow was being facetious, but I did finally get a reply from him. He said, page 3 in the Glock manual about carrying empty chamber. I looked at page 3 in the Glock manual, and I actually showed you page 3 in the Glock manual. Let's go back to it real quick. So here comes all of page 3. Let's see if we can find anything where it says to carry on an empty chamber. Okay, that is all of page 3. We can try and misconstrue some stuff, like never carry your Glock pistol out of a suitable holster with a cartridge loaded in the chamber. We can try and misconstrue that as carry an empty chamber. That is not what it says. We could play like attorney here and twist that around 16 different ways to Sunday out of a very simple sentence. Never carry your Glock pistol out of a suitable holster with a cartridge loaded in the chamber. Okay, so when you unholster your weapon to defend yourself, make sure you unload it. That's what that really means. So, Your Honor, this guy never should have shot my client because he should have unloaded his pistol and it should have been empty. That's what it says here in the book, and that's what that means. Right? Isn't that what a defense attorney would say for a scrote bag? I mean a scumbag. I mean a poor person who just tried to stab you and you shot them. They would try and misconstrue that simple sentence to say, you pulled your Glock pistol out of your holster, so therefore you should have unloaded it because it was out of the holster with a cartridge in the chamber. You think some sleazebag attorney might try to pull that on you? You're damn right they would. Yeah. So let's not try and twist shit around, okay? Let's look at this at the face value of what it is. So never carry your Glock pistol out of a suitable holster with a cartridge in chamber. Don't be friggin' doing Mexican style, shoving it in your friggin' waistband, okay? With a friggin' cartridge in your chamber. That's stupid. Don't be running around with a friggin' gun in your hand with a cartridge in the chamber, okay? That's pretty stupid. Compared to what Sig stated, carry an empty chamber. That's pretty obvious is what they're saying, right? So the fellow mentioned something about transporting on page 3 and can't carry it loaded in a vehicle or something. Oh, in some states you can't. No, I mean, go down to friggin' shithole two shits. Massachusetts there, call me two shits. Holy crap, don't get caught with a loaded gun down there. The commies ain't gonna like that. So, always store and transport your Glock pistol unloaded, secure with a cable lock provided, locked in a suitable container, out of the reach and sight of children or unauthorized persons. Well, yeah, the last bit makes sense, out of the reach and sight of children, obviously, or other unauthorized persons, like, douchebags, felons. and other such undesirables. Let's take that in the context for which it is written, right? Get your cranial rectal inversion resolved. Pull your head out of your asshole. That does not mean that if you are a law enforcement officer, military, security, concealed carry holder, or not a concealed carry holder, but you have a constitutional carry state, we need more of those, that when you get into a vehicle with your Glock pistol, that you need to unload it, put a friggin' cable lock around it, put it in a locked friggin' suitable container. That is not the context of what that is saying, okay? Think about it. So, it just mind boggles me how people look at something so simple and spin that shit around in their heads. It's just mind-numbing, absolutely mind-numbing. Read it for what it is. This is written for somebody who doesn't have a clue about a firearm, how it works, no nothing, goes to a gun store and buys one and walks out the door with it, and then reads the instruction book. That is the context of this, okay? In this manual, you are not seeing that you need to treat a Glock pistol like a damn princess. You don't need to coddle it. You don't need to cuddle it. If you drop it, if it gets bumped, it gets a little ouchy, you don't need to put it out of service and have somebody friggin' inspect it, okay? It doesn't need to be treated like royalty. However, in the SIG manual, SIG pistols do now. That is written. Don't even try and argue that shit with me. Read it for yourself. If you're too stupid, you can't read that for yourself, you're hopeless. And I'm not going to waste my time arguing it with you because you need to argue something. It's written. It's official documentation. Figure it out. I haven't reviewed H&K. I haven't reviewed Smith & Wess's, Beretta, any of that. And I'm not going to. I got other shit to do with my time. I came to Glock because that's what I'm familiar with. I've run Glock a long time. I've never had a failure with a Glock. And that's what I use. So that's what I'm using for a comparison. So nowhere in this manual does it say anything like what I have shown here for the third or fourth time now out of SIG, saying regardless of whether a pistol is equipped with a manual safety, the most effective safety is to carry the firearm without a round in the chamber, and to load a round in the chamber only when ready to fire. It is not in there. And trying to twist those other things that I just discussed around to say that those are saying what this says, it is not saying that. So we're not going there. Here's a funny one that came in today. I'm psychotic. You don't know me very well, do you? So, I guess I have mental problems because I think it's an issue that a manufacturer actually wrote in their manual, which I'm going to put another photo up in this video just for people who still can't comprehend this. Not to handle this firearm in any abusive manner at all. None. No abusive handling of this firearm, okay? None. Treat it like a friggin' princess. Paint it pink, put glitter on it, put a tiara on it, and baby that thing, okay? That's the way these SIGs need to be treated now, according to the book. No abusive handling. Oh my God, don't drop it. Don't let anything impact it. Don't let it be struck by any object. Okay, if you have a firearm that you depend your life on that can't handle something that simple, you drop it. You're in a fight, it's dropped. You use it as a police officer, security, whatever, duty carry. You bang into stuff all the friggin' time. It can't handle that. without having to be put out of service and friggin' inspected, you have a problem. If you think a gun that a manufacturer says has to be put out of service because it gets impacted by another object, because it got dropped, because it got struck by something, because it had, a little bit of harsh treatment. If you think that's a good firearm to carry and depend your life on, I think you have psychotic problems. Well, I'm going to wrap this one up. If you have questions, feel free to throw them in the comments. I'll communicate with you. I have no problem with that. I can have a civil discussion. I'm not going to get into any more BS with people. Like one individual has proven, you throw the facts at them, you lead them to the facts, and they don't care because they don't want to deal with the facts. They want you to believe their illusions, I guess. So we're not even going to go down that road. It was entertaining. It was very funny because it just kind of makes your eyeballs kind of rotate. But that is what it is. The Glock book, the two Sig manuals, comparing the two. I showed you everything in the Glock book that had anything to do with empty chambers, and it's just tearing it down, standing on the range. Yep, range safety, okay, I can get that, but nothing about carrying an empty chamber, right? Let's think about it. Have a good one.